today, we'll be reviewing a show called MSCS Media Podcast. This one features Scott the Engineer and Stuttering John Melendez, both former Howard Stern Show employees. We have both watched this separately. We have not discussed it with each other beforehand. Let's get into it. Of course, the host of this show is my boy Tommy.
Yeah. Now, would it be okay if I introduced MSCS Media to some of the listeners because we did the other ones behind on Patreon.
Have we not done this show on a regular episode before?
No.
Okay.
So some of you guys are going to be meeting this cast of characters for the first time. So this is from their Facebook, and I'm going to try to use their capitalization, right?
Okay.
So MSCS Media Podcast, a very diverse podcast. Everything from education, true crime, astrophysics, mill, and then that's the end of it. So I go over to the Twitter, and I'm like, boy, that's weird.
Wasn't ready for that. I thought that was going to be a long list. Yeah. I'm like, I'm about to strap in.
That's on the top of the page. Okay, so, and this one is definitely not written by him because it's capitalized correctly, even though there's no punctuation. Anyway, MSC's Media Podcast, interviews with unique, interesting individuals from all sorts of backgrounds. Everything from educational interviews to individuals who and that's the end of it. I'm like, this guy's not social. Okay. And then even the episode title. So just listen to this fucking title.
Yeah.
Stuttering John, Scott the Engineer. After years on Howard Stern, they reunite.
Yeah.
It's not even close to a sentence, and it's not interesting at all. And you word it differently if you were going for the clickbait. What the fuck is going on in this place?
I have some theories on Tommy. I don't think English is his first language.
Yeah.
He's from Pennsylvania. I don't know what part of Pennsylvania he's from. It seems odd to me.
Yeah.
And I actually pulled up, it's funny that you went into that immediately, Croge, because I noticed at the very first screen of this video that I'm watching on YouTube,
yes,
it says MSCS Media is a Spotify exclusive.
I had that written down.
So does he know what exclusive means? Because Spotify exclusive, I remember when Joe Rogan did this. It means you can't find his shows on YouTube anymore. They're on Spotify exclusively.
You mean you can't watch every minute of it on multiple platforms?
Right.
Oh,
it's exclusively on Spotify.
Okay.
So apparently Tommy's made some deal with Spotify that they don't even know about.
Yeah.
And I want to read you the description from Spotify.
Please.
Because I'm like, all right, I got to look this up on Spotify and see what it is. MSCS Media Podcast is now part of the Spotify exclusive team. If you don't see the video, tap or click the settings pop up. Make sure the data saver is turned off. Then click, tap, click on the episode and play. This only needs done once.
Yes!
MSCS Media Podcast is a very diverse product. Interviews with unique, interesting individuals from all sorts of backgrounds. Everything from educational interviews, athletes, celebrities, artists, comedians, science, military, real estate, stock, universe, medical, to true crime, and more.
Holy fuck!
And almost all of those are capitalized for artists for some reason. Everything else is capitalized.
I like universes in there.
Yeah, universe. All sorts of backgrounds. Universe? What do you mean? What does that mean?
God, it's incredible.
All right, so let's get right into this show, and I'll tell you what we're going to do today, format-wise.
Yes.
Because I have too many clips.
Yeah.
So we're going to break it up into two different sections.
Perfect.
We're going to do a little thing in the middle. We'll mix in some Patty C cups. We'll mix in some Tony Michaels.
Nice.
But I want to get to all of this because if we don't get to it now, this was recorded over a month ago. It took them a long time to put it out. So we got to get to this stuff.
They actually did it the day Ray Liotta died, which is a national holiday in my household.
Right. Yeah. Yes. And they speculate on how he died, which is we'll get into.
Oh, it's
for
great.
sure. It's a little teaser. But starting off, right off the bat, I think I played this as our teaser on the last episode. You're going to notice an echo. I think what happened is the mic stopped working. So they have like some room mic or something that's picking up the sound that they had to switch to. It gets better later.
Yeah.
So I know it's annoying, but most of these clips sound good.
Yeah.
All right, but this is not good. So we're talking to Scott, the engineer here, who's never been on this show before with Tommy. Tommy's excited about this. Oh, and I should mention, Tommy's down in Florida. He flies in John to do these shows. This is the third time he's done this now. And Scott lives in Florida too. So John's like, hey, I can grab Scott and bring him along for this show. So that's the dynamic that we're working with here.
Now, Scott, I hate to do this from the beginning.
Oh, right at the start. Well, get a dig in. Dig in.
I got to get the monkey out of the box.
Okay.
Because I heard through the grapevine.
Ooh, great. I love the grapevine.
About a guy named Steele, Lexington Steele, maybe. I don't know. 250 grand.
I heard about him, too.
13-inch Philly club. I had to go talk to the family about that. John, you want to elaborate? And then Scott can go.
All right. So let's get the monkey out of the box.
Let's get the monkey out of the box.
Tommy says some ridiculous things that lead me to believe, along with how he describes his show, that maybe English isn't his first language.
Yeah.
And which, if that's the case, I don't know 2 languages. You know,
course.
so that's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
I'm not going to goof on him for that. But he says, I heard through the grapevine a little thing about Steel Lexington. All right, let me explain this for anyone who's not a big Howard Stern fan like myself and Croge. So this bit that he's talking about was a bit on the Howard Stern show that lasted for months.
Yes.
This was a big deal that they were going to pay Scott the engineer $250,000 to get fucked in the ass by a porn star, and they were going to do it at Giant Stadium, and it was going to be this whole spectacle, and it was never real.
Yeah, and they talked about it every day for months.
Yes.
And if you ever wonder what radio was like in the 90s, that's what it was like.
That's what it was like, because before podcasting, you had different listeners at all different times and different days, and so you would repeat, yesterday we talked about this, and now we're going to do that bit all over again.
Yeah.
And tomorrow we're going to bring in so-and-so and do this bit over again.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it was. We all agreed that's fine. You know, we get it, whatever. And that's what kept things moving or kept things like in the conversation for a long time. It wasn't like say it one time and then move on. So this idea that Tommy, who proclaims he's a huge Howard Stern fan, I have numerous examples that prove he knows nothing about Howard Stern.
Yes.
He says it like, I listen to it every day. It's my favorite thing. 'Cause that's why he has John on all the time. And he doesn't seem to know anything. Like, even just the basics of Howard Stern show.
Yeah, it might be one of those things that's just on in the background and he's not absorbing or retaining anything.
It must be, because this idea that he heard a rumor through the grapevine about a bit that we've all heard ad nauseum at this point is so stupid. So another fun thing about this episode is that they're talking to Scott the engineer about engineering and what he had to do in the 70s and 80s with actually splicing tape and taping it back together in order to do these edits and things.
Yeah.
And they talk about how easy it is nowadays with digital. And then, for some reason, 10 minutes in, it switches over to another interview with another person. And for 15 minutes, the wrong video is playing.
The video is completely corrupt. Yeah.
It's totally wrong. And it's funny, too, because they keep talking to that guy, Rob, who is the kind of the engineer running the show.
Yeah.
And he's going, yeah, man, it's easy nowadays. They just do this stuff. Well, I guess it's not that easy. And at the end of that break, there's an advertisement. And I have just the end of the advertisement, Crows.
Yeah.
You can elaborate more on what this is, but check this out.
Start your free trial at https://aura.com/MSCS.
So this is something that we stopped doing over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Was explaining how a URL, you needed to go to https:// like that's not a thing.
Your browser's taking care of that for you for, as you said, 20 years at least. Yeah.
You're right. I mean, they used to say www, and then they stopped saying that because that was unnecessary too. Tommy is like out of it.
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
totally out of
yeah.
it. So talk to me. Is this the product that you were...
So this, I looked around, and what I loved about this ad is that the word is aura, but he kept saying aurora.
You're right. I didn't pick up on that.
Aurora. Like, he can't say the word aura, which is weird if that's your sponsor. The one I love, and we didn't get it, which is fine. It's he does an entire read for Monster Energy drink.
Okay.
But just picture in your head this guy reading copy about Monster Energy, because he's like, there are so many types of Monster Energy. There is strawberry flavored. There is raspberry flavored. There is, whatever the fuck. And then he goes on to say, go to monsterenergy.com/US/MSCS.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, what the fuck is that? So I had right there. And it brings you to the Monster homepage, but nothing's branded on it and nothing's for sale. So it's like...
Oh, so just redirect. So it's not a vanity URL at all.
So it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
It stays there, so it doesn't redirect or anywhere,
Okay.
but it doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
So then I typed in the same URL, but I did /WATP, and then I did /go fuck yourself, and then I did
and they all go to the same
and they all go
page.
to the same place.
Okay.
And there's nothing for sale on it, so there's no reason. You know what I mean? Like it's like a video of like, hey dude, check out this cool snowboarder who likes Monster Energy. Like, I'm sure people are fucking rushing right there.
It's interesting because I wonder if Tommy talked to John about like, hey, I don't have any sponsors or advertisers. John's like, oh, that doesn't matter. Just pretend you do.
That was
Just read ads.
That was my point, is that the Monster Energy was definitely not real. This doesn't seem real, but I couldn't tell from the URL. And then there was another one that was just some fucking like vitamin supplement or whatever. But then along with the Spotify exclusive, none of them make sense. None of them seem official or have a promo code or have anything that we would identify as an actual advertisement. I think this is all as real as his inflated viewership numbers.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about that real quick. So this video has 500,000 views on it right now.
Which is stunning. That's half a million people.
It's Stuttering John and Scott the Engineer. Mm-hmm. And Stuttering John does shows with Grillo, and he does shows with Casey Armstrong, and these videos have a couple thousand views max, and like people aren't that interested in guys that were on the Howard Stern show together in the 90s.
But Tommy is such an incredible interview that even he did one that was a guy that won a contest once, and it had 250,000 views.
What's going on?
And some of his are a guy that wrote a book about a mafia that was like 20-something years ago, and like that's interesting, but 500,000 people
His numbers are crazy. His numbers are crazy, and if you read through the comments, I mean, we have our theories on that too. It seems a little odd the way things are worded in the comments, but the numbers are crazy, and it makes me think, did he get a look from Spotify? Is he actually in communication with Spotify? They're like, wow, you do some big numbers. We'll bring you over to our platform. Is he getting a deal off of this?
I can't imagine, because the social media is such a fucking mess. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Just go to their website. So MSCS Media is like a digital marketing agency. And when you go and read their webpage, it doesn't make any. It's just like what you were reading before. We're just like, we provide high engagement with consumers to break through. It's just like all these buzzwords. You're like, wait, what? What do you do?
It's absolute word salad. But I mean, just the idea that you would paste the sentence in and then not even go look at it to see if the whole sentence made it, or you didn't notice there's a fucking. It's Twitter. Everything is a fucking character limit. You try to put a paragraph in there. It's crazy. The whole thing is.
But I'm more offended by the fact that they're trying to be an SEO company or a marketing company, and they can't even write sentences on their own website. Like, why would I trust them to build my website?
Yeah.
Or optimize my copy?
I mean, and I get on fucking Stuttering John for this whole time, and I know I'm fucking harping on shit, but like, dude, if you can't use commas and capital letters correctly, people think you're stupid. Yeah. Normally because it means you're stupid.
Yeah, I know.
That's like 6th, 7th grade for most people. And like, you know, if some
I wonder
people
what grade he teaches.
Well, yeah, some people don't get it. And like, you know, if you got this age and you don't know how there, and there work, or how fucking commas work, fine, that's great. But don't fucking get a job where you write shit for people.
All right, so Scott the Engineer starts talking about very early on in the show how much money he made on the Howard Stern show. There's these guys are obsessed with this. So
in the first 10 minutes, they get into the money from 30 years ago.
From 30 years ago. So he says in 2005 he was making $90,000 a year. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why this is content for people. I don't know why he's complaining all these years later. It's like, then go get another job. If you can make more money somewhere else, go do that. And so, that's how this all works. You're not a slave to Howard Stern or K-Rock.
And adjusted for inflation, that's $125K in today's dollars.
Okay.
For a radio engineer. I mean, 6 figures, not too shabby. Did you happen to get what he thought he should have been making?
I think it was 300,000 is what he said, but Rob the engineer said it should be 1.2 or 1.5 million.
Tommy
said 3 million, I think.
Guessed 2 million.
Yeah.
He goes, how much do you think I should have been making? And he's like, 2 million easily.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I was making whatever it was, 90,000. He's like, dude, you're the fucking engineer for Howard Stern. You should be making 2 million.
Yeah, just pulls it out of his ass. He's like, well, how much was Howard making at that time? I was like, I don't know. Who cares?
But
What's the difference?
The audio engineer.
Yeah.
Like, what should Howard's plumber make? Should Howard's plumber make $1 million? I mean, that's Howard's plumber.
Yeah.
You can't take a shit without a good plumber.
That's a good point.
I mean,
that's what people aren't understanding is, and that's what John never understood either, was that, so John says, I only made $85,000 at the end. Can you believe that? Yeah. It's more than you make now. Why are you complaining? Like, John, that's more money than you make now, which shows what your value is.
Yeah.
Not very high.
And
if you can't make that amount of money 25 years later...
We will get to it, but he gets to a point where he lists all the things that he had to do as if it was like, I had to do this and I had to do that. And he gives you the list, and then you think back, holy shit, he was making modern day 6 figures for that list of things.
Well, yeah, that list is when he was an unpaid intern, but yeah, it is funny.
Well, what fucking changed? I mean...
Nothing. Nothing changed because... And yeah, there's too many things I want to talk about. Let's go through these clips.
Yes, please.
So this is right after the salary talk. They talk about why they deserve more money.
Yeah.
That's private parts, and that's Miss America, okay? Notice something? We were the original 8, okay? So really we should all have been making $1 million a fucking year, but no. The only ones were Howard and Robin.
You know how much we got for those books?
How much?
Nothing.
Wow. No percentage, no nothing.
0.
Wow.
Zero.
See, and Scott, I had said to him,
But you got paid for the movie.
Yeah, you know how much?
I wasn't even in the movie.
Minimum.
You were only at the end.
I got $400.
Okay. Yeah, it was a scene after the credits.
So, well, let's take a step back.
Yeah. Why do they think that they deserve money for Howard's book? Howard wrote his book.
Not
Why would they get money? What are they talking about?
And I'm not one to defend Howard Stern. He says he spent an entire summer in his basement writing that book, getting the revisions, rewriting it. Yep. It's a lot of
writing
work.
A book is a lot of work, yes.
And he missed his kids playing. He missed shit that was going on, kids' soccer games, fucking, nights out with the wife. He put his life on pause for 3 months to write a book. And then these guys come in and say, you used a picture with me in it. I deserve a royalty from your book that you spent. By the way, Carl, I meant to bring this up, and I'm sorry about that song that you wrote.
Yeah.
I deserve a piece of it.
You think so?
I do, because,
I told you what chords to play.
Exactly. I was going to say, I didn't have a reason yet, but that's the reason. I play the chords you say. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I love that. It's like, we're part of the original 8. Well, what about the person who was hired right before you? He's like, well, I was part of the original 7. So why the fuck am I not getting it? Like, what does that mean? What does that have to do with anything? These guys don't understand how business works. They don't understand anything about life. And they should, because they're in their 50s and 60s.
Exactly.
They should probably know how life works at this point.
Now, at the end of that clip, we hear Stuttering John say, well, he's indignant. He's pissed off. I was only paid $400 for that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
minimum.
Now, just in case, if you haven't seen that movie or it's been a long time.
It's a good movie.
At the very, very end of the movie, during the credits, is the only time we see Stuttering John. He has a very brief speaking role where he yells and shit. And he's in his street clothes with no makeup and he's outside. So he didn't have to go anywhere. He didn't have to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's be generous and say it was an hour's worth of work, which totally was.
No way.
But let's pretend that it took him an hour to do it.
Yeah.
$400 an hour. Not a bad fucking rate, I would say.
I'd love to know how much he thinks he deserves for that. Because honestly, if they would have said, John, I want to put you in the movie at the end, we can't pay you, he'd still do it.
Oh my God.
You're in Howard Stern's movie. You want to be there, right? And also, it's funny because I didn't pull this clip, but later on they're talking about that. And he mentions that he was putting on his stutter and his spitting specifically for that. Because they're like, oh, can you do it again without the stuttering and spitting? He's like, okay, and he did. It's like, oh, okay, so that's an act then.
Yeah.
So you're just admitting it. That this whole persona that you have.
Incredible.
Yeah, go figure. What are the chances? All right, so then they start talking about Jackie Martling, of course, because if you're going to talk about money situations on the Howard Stern show, Jackie famously left because he couldn't get more money.
But thankfully, they don't bring up his health problems.
Yeah, because that's the thing. That's the problem I always have with whenever they bring up Jackie.
Yeah.
They always have to bring up his health problems.
Exactly.
And I don't think that John realizes that Jackie doesn't want that getting out there, especially on a video with 500,000 viewers. Oh,
Jackie
fuck.
was like a comedian. He's funny. But if you said something about Jackie, he's like, that's not funny.
He stopped talking to Grillo, you know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he stopped talking to me and Grillo.
Oh, okay.
But Scott, I guess I didn't tell you this. It's for the one simple reason. I guess Jackie had a seizure or a stroke.
I didn't know that.
Okay, so his director of his documentary.
See how much I don't know? I just keep out of everything.
yeah.
No, but
It's probably the best.
he
Right?
tells me Jackie had a stroke or a seizure. Grillo comes
I'm
on my
worried
show
about
and tells
Crojan's
me.
health problems now.
Now, Scott and I will both probably say this, that we love Jackie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. And I was concerned. I'm like, fuck, man, Jackie had a stroke, you know?
Yeah.
I don't even
That's
think he
where
had
it
a
ends.
stroke. I think he had a seizure. And now he's turned into a stroke. And he said this on everybody's show. Anyone who will listen to him, he talks about how Jackie was mad because I told people about his health condition. He's an older guy. He's still trying to get gigs. And that's probably a bad thing. And I just keep telling everyone over and over again, I don't know why Jackie won't talk to me.
And he's got...
Go ahead.
He's got crabs, and his crabs have AIDS.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, he's so concerned he doesn't even know what really happened.
No, yeah, he doesn't even know. He doesn't know if it's a seizure or a stroke. Now he's just calling it a stroke.
Yeah.
Which I remember the first story was a seizure. I don't know. But it's like, Jesus Christ, John. That's why he's mad at you. You have to stop doing that.
And how do you not get that? How are you so fucking dense? I mean, again, I'm sorry, I'm fucking repeating myself, but like, just to go out in public with that shit, even if it was not someone famous, even if it was your relative or your friend, you wouldn't go in public with that. Why would you go on a fucking public forum on the internet and then say it about someone who
and over
and someone who depends friends on booking gigs to make their career.
Yeah.
It's fucking shocking to me.
Mind-boggling.
And it's been going on over and over and over again for years. It drives me to the fact where Jackie won't even fucking speak to him. And he doesn't even have the question, wow, this guy I knew for 30 years won't even fucking return my text.
Yeah.
What a dick he must be.
Yep.
Obviously.
That's the only thing he thinks. He never thinks he does anything wrong. And I love what another thing I didn't clip because we've heard him say it so many times. You know, there's a lot of people who won't admit when they're wrong. Oh. You know, I'm glad I'm not one of those people. Like, John, holy shit, the level of cognitive dissonance with this guy. I shouldn't say cognitive and John. In this
What are you doing?
Yeah, that was stupid. All right, so I want to show what a big Howard Stern fan Tommy was.
Oh, yeah.
And Tommy is old school. Like, he goes back. He was listening when he was a teenager.
And we're talking about Jackie the Jokester?
Yeah.
Jackie the Jokester. I'm sorry, but every Howard Stern fan in the world knows Jackie the Joke Man. No one thinks he's Jackie the Jokester.
Johnny the Jester, right?
And this is the same guy who called Richard Christie Crazy Richard last time. Hey, can you do an impression of Crazy Richard? Fucking idiot. All right, so Scott was talking about in that clip how it's funny how comedians are the ones who can't take a joke. They don't have a good sense of humor about themselves. Yeah. And of course, John has to chime in on this.
Comedians don't have a sense of humor about themselves, usually.
Right.
You know.
I normally did.
What are you talking about?
When?
Yeah, when did that happen? You had a good sense of humor about
time.
yourself. You freak out at everyone all the time. You threaten lawsuits.
At least he used the past tense.
Yeah, right. Yes, that's true. At least he said did.
Yeah.
Which is pretty funny. So then they're talking about the guy who attacked Dave Chappelle at his stand-up show. And they're talking about, like, you know, Tommy's saying, well, is that going to change how you write comedy and how you perform comedy? Because you're going to be nervous about offending someone. And then Scott comes up with a pretty good line to tell us that John's safe.
I went to see John's show, you know, his comedy show. There weren't enough people to attack him.
I knew you were gonna, I knew you were going to.
I'm just kidding.
Hey, if I could only say.
Killed on that one.
No, here's the thing. Here's the thing, Tommy.
I'm not deleting those 50 comments for you on that one.
No.
Did you hear that?
Oh.
Tommy goes, I'm not deleting those comments for you this time.
Yeah.
So John has reached out to Tommy and told him to delete comments, which makes sense because when you look at the comments under these videos, I don't see the dabblers getting involved, and those guys get involved in everything. So that's how telling is that Tommy just all of a sudden this brief honesty comes in, like, oh, John, you're admitting you didn't have a good attendance at your comedy show. I'm not deleting the comments for you this time. John reaches out to people after the show and says, I need you to take these things down.
Yeah,
he's probably sending screen grabs. He's probably circling things.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
He also can't just laugh for 2 seconds at a joke made exit.
Oh, no. Once again, he does the thing where, you know, he's really good friends with Andrew Dice Clay and he's really good friends with Jim Florentine, but he has to let Tommy know that, well, if I suck, then they suck too.
No, it's okay because this is in Lake Park, right? I didn't even heard of the. This is it's like in the middle of nowhere,
around here somewhere.
And let me just give you
22, 23 people.
No, it was 12 people. And Scott being one and his friend being 2. But I will say, Andrew Dice Clay did that same room.
Yeah.
And he's my friend, and he's one of the best comedians ever.
He's a beast.
Guess how many he had?
How many?
30.
I wouldn't feel too bad about that.
Jim Florentine, guess how many he had?
All right. You know, it's funny, too, because when you go on someone's show and you make fun of someone, we can still be friends. I've done that with a lot of my friends, and we all hang out, and it's fine. John hates that.
Oh, God.
And he's so much worse because when you go on and you go, yeah, but you know who fucking sucks at comedy? They only had 10 people show up to their show.
Yeah.
That's way worse than like calling Jim Florentine whatever because you guys are buddies and you want to goof on him. You know, saying his podcast sucks or something is a lot different than going, yeah, but you know what though, Tommy? Attendance at his stand-up show? I wasn't there, but I heard it was 10 people.
And maybe this is a dumb question. Why would you book the gig then? If Andrew Dice Clay and Jim Florentine got a combined 80 cumulative people there, why would you be like, oh, the guy from radio 30 years ago, will do great there?
Yeah, that's still on you, John. Regardless of what other people did at that club, that is still on you, my friend. And also, I want to point out, he said there were 12 people there.
Yeah.
2 of them were Scott and Scott's girlfriend, and one of them was purple.
My hero.
So we're down to 8 people actually wanted to see Stuttering John for some reason.
I want to know all their stories.
Purple eats for 2.
All right. So this is something you picked up on, Crush, because you sent me some notes where Howard complaining about Scott the engineer being really slow. I remember this pretty well back in the day.
Yeah.
Scott was always the butt of all the jokes, and that was one of the things.
I mean, right there alone.
I mean, Howard complained a lot. He's so slow. He's so slow.
Well, do you want to
He's
write it or do
cutting
you want it
on
wrong?
tape.
Nobody could do it faster. You know, so I knew that, and I knew it was all, you know.
Scott can't answer a question. The guy goes to Scott. So, Scott, what was it like when Howard was doing? And then John just fucking jumps right in. Oh, my God. And just starts talking. And this happens like over and over and over again.
Yeah, he never let Scott just talk.
Yeah.
He's got to get his point in as well.
And at this point, we're at about 4 to 5 beers. Now, they did me a great personal favor. I reached out to Tommy and I said, dude, do all the editing you want, but please don't clear the empties off the table.
Yeah.
And they listen. Because now, producer Chris, I got a little game for you. Just take a wild guess. The time from the first word out of Tommy's mouth to the time when Stuttering John takes an exaggerated fucking aggressive slug off a Coors Light.
2.5 seconds.
Yeah, close. 8 seconds. Oh. And maybe that's because that's when they pulled back to the room view, and then you can see him, and he's like trying to suck the beer out of the bottle instead of like.
Gravity's not doing its part on this one.
Yeah, you can let gravity do the work, man. I
Jesus Christ.
drank plenty of beers in my day. I never had to suck it out of the fucking bottle, but.
Yeah, so we're going to be looking at that,
Yes.
and we'll be looking at the table in front of him and how many empties there are. There's a few comments about it that go on.
But it's like a thermometer. You can judge his mood. Like, you can judge where we are in the conversation by how many empties are stacking up in a remarkably short period of time.
Yeah, someone made a comment about John being a shameless alcoholic.
Yeah.
And I guess that's probably the right word, because I was wondering, I'm thinking, okay, if I'm going to go on a show, I'm going to have a couple drinks too. I mean, people have seen me on Anthony Cumia and stuff, and I'm demanding beers be sent my way.
Yeah.
But John made a fool of himself on this show like thrice now.
Yeah.
And he still is thinking like, I'm just going to drink myself silly and just put it out there for everyone to see.
He's just shameless.
It's just shameless.
That's just an alcoholic.
It's just amazing. It's pretty incredible. Okay. So then Scott's talking about John would come back with these tapes.
Yeah.
So he'd do his celebrity interviews and he'd come back with these tapes, cassette tapes.
Yeah.
That Scott had to transfer onto reel to reel, and then he had to go in and find where these interviews were. It was a lot of work because John did not help him out in any way.
Of course.
Some bullshit too, because he would just let him run sometimes.
Yeah.
Like he wouldn't stop him in between interviews.
Sometimes I didn't.
So he did. So you got to like, what the fuck is this, John?
But hey, Tommy, in my defense, I'm out there doing kamikaze interviews on the street, chasing people down. You think what? I'm a technical guy?
It's a fucking timestamp, like 1 hour, 1 minute.
You can't do a timestamp.
No, on the cassette decks you couldn't do it.
Oh, fuck.
Couldn't do a
Yeah.
time.
Nice try, dickhead.
All right, I'll take that. I'll take it. I took it on the chin.
You could do a number thing, you know.
Now, there's 2 things I really want to point out. The first was that the definition for John of being a technical guy is pausing and unpausing a tape recorder when you're walking around.
Right, so that's literally what they were talking about, is that he would come back with a 90-minute tape.
Yeah.
They had 7 minutes of interview on it, all over the tape.
But interspersed with him walking around
all
and
over it, right.
falling down
He
drunk
would
and getting
record
back
when
up.
he's asking the question like a normal person would.
Oh, and I'm sure that parts of the tape he's taking a piss, hailing a cab. This tape is full of bullshit. But he's like, what am I going to stop and record, hit stop and play on a tape? That's fucking technical shit. I can't do that.
Yeah.
And then, so Tommy, who's never, he's a younger guy. He doesn't remember the cassette days. He goes, well, you could have just used a timestamp.
Sure.
No, well, you couldn't. That's actually not how those work.
Yeah.
And John goes, instead of being like, yeah, that's funny, he goes, that's not, you fucking dickhead. Wrong again, motherfucker. See how much you fucking know. You think you're so fucking smart? I'm not a fucking technical guy, but I know about fucking timestamps, you piece of shit. Now, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but that's
what I
what's
just
going
heard,
on.
Yeah. To the guy who flew him in for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you fucking dickhead. You don't know? It's like, well, no, this guy never fucking touched a cassette. And God bless him. You don't fucking, you don't know the pain, my friend.
Well, Tommy was good. He took it on the chin.
He took it on the chin. And he let that monkey out of the box.
Yeah, which was good of him. All right. This is Tommy wants Scott to take him through John's hiring process,
Yeah.
which, by the way, I could do at this point. I've studied John so much and read so much up on him. So John doesn't understand how time works.
When John comes to be hired, you're there. He's not. So take me through the hiring process.
Yeah, I love
to
to
him.
hear this, Scott.
Well, all I remember from that day.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it was like 40 years
How
ago.
dare you, 40? What am I, fucking 85 now?
It's like 35.
35. Shit, I'm 5 off. Damn.
It was 87, right? Yeah.
88.
Good for you, Tommy.
Yeah.
It was like 40 years ago, right? What am I, 86?
Yeah.
No, it's 35 years ago.
35 years ago.
Okay.
John's one of those guys where when he thinks like 10 years ago, in his mind he thinks 1990.
Yeah.
You know, that was 30 years ago.
You're right.
But he hasn't had a clear thought since that time. So you know what I mean? Those years don't even register. He's been in a fucking black.
He was so taken aback by that. How dare you say I was hired by Howard Stern 40 years ago? I'm sorry. It was 35 and a half.
Yeah.
My bad on that one, sir. I didn't mean to offend you so much. Remember 3 weeks ago when 9/11 happened? I'm still reeling from that.
Yeah.
All right.
kidding.
So I got to get my head on straight. Give me a minute here.
And last week when Columbo was still on the air. Well, so many
John's
fucking
world,
Columbo
is definitely still on the air.
Yeah, it is.
So Scott says John didn't really do very much when he first started, which it was kind of a dumb question on Tommy's part, because Tommy goes, all right, so what was he like? What was he like as a coworker when he first started? He's an intern.
And it was even something like the first week or the first couple
Yeah.
weeks. He's like, when he first started, what kind of
started.
task did you hand him? Which is a perfectly reasonable question to ask.
Okay. So Scott's like, he didn't really do that much, you know. He was an intern, and I believe that interns don't do very much.
He's an intern that was just starting in this question.
Exactly. So John then is very offended by this and decides to school us all on all of his many duties he had as an intern. This is one of my favorite clips from the show.
I would cut Howard's potatoes. I would have to buy his 10 potatoes for the week, his 6-pack of Volvic water, and his green apples. And then I would order his 6 ounces of white meat turkey like every day, because I had to fulfill the king's ridiculous fucking menu. And I cooked his fucking potatoes. I would have to scar cut them and do it right and put it in the microwave. And I'd have to have the time in. If I missed the time and I forgot or something, and Howard's potatoes weren't ready, he would rip me in a fucking ass.
Did you ever see that happen?
So this is like book report, John, where he's padding it with details.
Yes.
It does not add up to a whole lot.
But the point of his story was that I was important and I had a lot of duties.
Yes.
And then all the duties that he lists are going to the grocery store and microwaving a potato.
Yeah, they're potato-centric.
And that's it. And he had to do it at a certain time, and as you can hear, he couldn't get that right.
Yes.
His duty was to get a potato ready, and he was so bad at it, they had to get Grillo to do it. And Grillo was in charge of the potato. Grillo, the guy who actually holds a job now, and was able to do the potato at the right time and had that duty for many years. Dude, this is not the brag that you think it is.
Right, and I understand that Howard was very particular about everything.
Sure.
So he might be difficult to work for, but the other point is that Howard's doing a morning show. He's up at 4 a.m. He needs food at a certain time by like the second break or whatever it is. It's the only time he can eat when they're off the air. So if the potato's not ready at that time, another hour goes by. I'd be pissed too. Like, this is my time to eat. What do you mean it's not ready?
And when you've got different people getting your shit for you all the time, it is so much easier to say, get me 1 can of Diet Coke than it is to say, get me a soda. Or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like when you give someone, this is the specific thing I want, that's for you. This is so you don't fuck it up. I'm not just going to say, get me a sandwich.
Well,
this is the type of sandwich I want. Please go get this.
Well, this is not the first time John's complained about the host of the show needing things a certain way and him not being able to deliver.
Yeah.
When we talked about him leaving the Stephanie Miller show, and we documented this on the show, it turned out. So John's saying, like, what do you mean I didn't do anything? I did this. He's not qualified to do anything on a radio show now.
Yeah.
You couldn't hire him to be on a radio show because when he worked for Stephanie Miller back in, 2016, 2017, something like that, he was bad at prep.
Yeah.
She'd say, okay, I need these articles printed up. And then he'd print them, and they had the banner ads on them and shit, and they were, like, on different pages. And she's like, no, John, I just need 1 page with the article so I can read it. Oh, what do you mean? I left the images out there for you. And then he couldn't run the board. She put him on the board. Okay, I need you to run the board. And then he fucked that up. He's like, but the board was really complicated. And then she had him on the air. And he was terrible on the air, and she had to talk to him about it. Like, John, you're not good on the air, and he got on the air.
Drunk as shit.
Well, don't say that. That's Croge, by the way. Look up his ad. Get your algorithm to get his address.
And Croge has seen the pictures on the internet of you doing it. You can deny that all you want.
He did drink on Stephanie Miller.
By the way,
he never drinks on the job.
My email is producerchris@wa.com if you have any.
And then the other thing that she had him do was book guests, and he wasn't good at that. He was booking celebs that she had never heard of. Oh, but they got 1 million Twitter followers. She said, I don't care. I don't know who this person is. Nobody does. No one in my audience knows who this person is. So all these things that John was tasked with doing on an actual radio show, he was bad at. And now he has the balls to come out here and say, I was being underutilized by Howard Stern, who just wanted me to bake his potato, which I didn't handle. Now, okay, this is just John talking about this. Scott was doing this gig. Scott used to DJ. Yeah. And he had these DJing gigs. And so John's talking about how he paddled along with Scott for this one gig.
One of my favorite things about this is Tommy is trying to get the story out.
Yeah.
And it's like we all know that couple where one is trying to tell the story and the other one's like, no, you're wrong. Because that was actually the other thing. And then they're like, okay. So anyway, this was, and then
the person who says you're wrong and actually went this way is usually incorrect.
Exactly.
He just wants attention.
Yes.
Yeah, and none of it would have advanced the story. Were it right or wrong anyway? Just interrupting is
not the point.
Important. Yeah.
And then we do the gig, and Scott's dancing around. Stand up, baby, stand up. With his tux.
Hands up, by the way.
Yeah, hands up. Whatever. yeah, I'm glad I don't know the fucking song.
Yeah.
What an idiot. What a dumb thing to say. So after that, he tells the story about how Scott made a big error.
Yeah.
Leaving $500 he was paid for the gig on top of his car. And Scott has to tell John that John wasn't there.
Yeah.
And I think this is very telling. I'll play the clip, and then I have some analysis here.
And then he gets paid, what, $500 cash?
Around. Yeah. Not that point.
Rob, have you ever? Do you know what's going to happen next?
I don't.
He puts the $500 cash on the roof of the car.
You weren't there.
Yes, I was.
Not for that gig.
Yeah, you drove me home. You drove me back. Scott, that's how I knew it all. And he puts it on the roof, and we drive away, and then you figure it out. Oh my God, I left it on.
What happened was
Scott, was he there?
No, he wasn't there.
Yes, I was.
No, I'm telling you, I know who was there, and I know who ratted on me because I know who was there.
Who was there?
It was a guy named Matt Sager.
Oh, he's a prick, but no.
Yes, he was helping me. I'm telling you.
Well, I worked for you.
He eventually became a DJ at K-Rock.
Yeah, but I worked for you too.
Yeah, but that wasn't the gig.
So John's remembering things, putting himself into them that he wasn't a part of. Yeah. How often does that happen? I wonder. You know, that's just one little example where Scott's like, you weren't even there, dude.
Yeah, especially if it makes someone else look stupid.
Yes. Yeah. So the fact that John remembers things that he wasn't a part of because he's heard people tell those stories tells me a lot.
Well, he's super familiar with the story because it was on the radio. It was a big part of the lore for decades.
Of course.
But in his mind, he is the main character of every story.
Yes.
And so he remembers the story, and therefore I must be the main character of it. And so when he tells it, I was standing there and I told Howard and I made all the good jokes about it. Whoa, weird.
And Scott the engineer does not have an A personality.
Correct.
So if John wants to get up there and say, I was there and this happened, Scott's kind of like letting it go. And then he goes, all right, that's actually not what happened.
Yeah.
And I wonder how many times during this interview, Scott's just like, all right, I'll let him have that one. I'll let him have that one.
Yeah.
Because he's talking all this crazy shit. And Scott's going, well, I actually remember what went down. So let's get into all these great pranks that John had.
Oh, yes.
So this first one he's all proud of is he would tape down not the receiver part of the telephone.
Yeah.
You know, you pick up a phone and those two pieces pop up.
The switch, the two pegs that pop up.
Right, the two pegs that pop up. So he would tape those down. So even when you pick up the phone, you haven't actually picked up the phone, which is wow.
Whoa.
I mean, it was just so fun to fuck with Scott.
John, give me
And we weren't even on TV at that point.
No
TV, nothing.
No TV.
Just radio.
It was just me being an asshole.
Give me a prank that you did to him. I know you remember. You're smart. Give me a prank that you pranked him.
That was it.
No, I mean like a better one.
Yeah, a better one than the phone one, you idiot. That's not a good prank. He picked up the phone and it was still ringing. Whoa!
I know you're smart, he says.
Yeah, well, that was really like Tommy trolling him without even knowing that he's trolling him because he's just talking to an idiot. So he's like, no, I'm sure you did something better. So then John goes, oh, yeah, I got another one. And he goes, and I came up with this all on my own. This was all my idea. I was so proud of myself. I took a kaleidoscope and I put ink on the bottom of it.
Yeah.
So that when he put it to his eye, he would put the ink around his eye. And that has been done for decades.
I think that goes back to either Little Rascals or Popeye cartoons, but the 1930s at the very least.
For sure. Yeah, black and white, for sure.
John was watching this on a black and white TV in his childhood. Yeah.
Yes. And he explains, oh my gosh, that was such a great prank. Unfortunately, the intern did it before Scott did, so I didn't get him with that. But I did put a $20 bill on a fishing line, and I got Scott to bend over to try to pick it up as I pulled it away. Like, John, that's not a good prank. I know you think that's a funny prank. It's not.
Which, again, I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on that, I think that's Three Stooges. But if not, that might have been a Laurel and Hardy gag or something. But again, 1930s, easily. Easily.
Yes.
And he watched it on black and white TV and then drunkenly 40 years later was like, oh, I have an idea. I mean, 25 and a half years. Sorry, John. I didn't mean to.
And then we talk about Scott the engineer and the push-up contest that he had. Their push-up challenge that he had, because this was a big bit on the show, too, that I remember very well.
Yeah.
Where Scott the engineer couldn't do one push-up.
Yeah.
And John takes full credit for everything that happened with this.
Well, the push-ups were kind of goof on the...
Well, first of all, you owe me for that. Because that was my idea with the push. Do you remember?
Yeah, I know.
It was 30,000 push-ups or something, right?
No, it was It was 17?
1,000?
18.
18.
I know that you're like a bodybuilder and stuff, but 30,000 push-ups? Look at this guy. This guy can't do 30,000 anything. 30,000 breaths would be impressive.
Even if you could do 30,000 push-ups, let's just say, that would be like 6 days nonstop, no sleep.
It's not a good radio bit.
Just doing push-ups, right?
Not a good bit. What number are we on? Well, thanks for checking in. We're on 5,283, 5,284, 5,285. Okay, we'll check back with you in a couple days.
And that whole thing, you owe me.
Yeah.
Because that was my idea.
Correct. And,
what the fuck?
So, again, this is something that I remember very well.
Yeah.
This was a big deal on the show. Tommy obviously has never heard the show. He does not know what the Howard Stern show is because he has no idea what's going on. So then John decides that he needs credit for the fact that Scott was paid money for that. Basically, this is what happened. Scott couldn't do a push-up. So they decided, let's do a challenge. If you can do 17 push-ups 5 weeks from now or 6 weeks from now, it wasn't a ton of time.
Yeah.
Then Howard was going to give him 10,000. Robin was going to give him 10,000. I think Jackie was in for 5. Fred was in for 5. It was like $30,000. That Scott was due to make if he did that.
Well, the push-ups were kind of goof on the...
Well, first of all, you owe me for that. Because that was my idea with the push. Do you remember?
Yeah, I know.
It was 30,000 push-ups or something, right?
No, it was 17?
1,000?
18.
18.
Oh, I know it's the wrong clip.
I know it's the same clip again, but I love hearing him say, you owe me for that. That was
So
my
then I go
idea.
on the air and go, Scott thinks he could do fucking 17 push-ups, and then Howard takes the bait, and then this whole fucking... And how much did you make thanks to me?
I don't remember.
Thanks to me. By the way, I love in this story, Howard is just a puppet.
Yes.
And it's really
John explains that all of these bits that you liked on the radio show, he came up with all of those in the hallway.
Yep.
And, Howard was just doing his bidding.
Yes.
In John's mind, like all of the things that you love about Howard Stern, even that he wasn't involved in, he came up with all of those bits. This whole push-up thing was his idea. So he's now looking back at this and saying, wow, I made you all this money. You owe me a cut of that. Look at Scott's face right there. Yeah. Scott hated this bit.
Yeah.
He was abused for months, if not years, about this bit because they said that he cheated, and it was a whole ordeal that I'd be willing to bet that if he could do it over again, he would never have done it.
Yeah.
I don't think it was worth the money to him.
It was so much bad blood between everybody. And it was like real. It wasn't like radio thing. It was like they were really resenting all the shit that went on with that. Yeah.
Correct. And then Tommy either misremembers their conversation or John forgot what they talked about the last time he was on. And this is funny for a couple of different reasons.
He pointed out, I think the last time was when Howard was away, Jay had contacted you to come on, and you had enough respect to say, hey, look, Howard's not here. You know, I'm not going to have that kind of conversation without Howard being here. Right? Or am I like in the fucking cave?
I think you're in a cave. I don't.
Am I in a cave? Where's he come up with these sayings? Crows, am I right or am I in a cave?
Oh, you're in a cave.
Oh, okay. You guys want to play Count the Empties with me right now?
All right.
Yes, please.
All right, let's
And now it's time for America's favorite game show, Count the Empties.
I got 9 empties and 2 fulls.
Yes, correct. And so we got 2 fulls in the ice bucket. We got all the empties displayed out in front of them. And what you don't know yet, but you find out later, is that next to John, to his left, there is the rest of the beers getting warm that he does have to dip into at a certain point. Also, this is kind of nitpicky, but John's wearing his headphones backwards. And if you're a professional broadcaster and you've been in radio and TV and you brag about it all the time, shouldn't you know that the wire always goes to the left ear? That's how stereo works, you fucking moron. Sorry, producer Chris. You're also wrong. But I don't know how he doesn't fucking know that at this stage in his career. All right, after Am I in a Cave? Let's see where we go to.
I think you're in a cave. I don't.
Don't make me pull up the last YouTube. You had a lot of fucking beers.
Don't make me pull up the last YouTube.
Wow.
You had a lot of beers.
And what's funny is that was, for those of you who weren't with us for that one, that was the most important story for Tommy. And he wanted to go through it moment by moment, blow by blow, phone call by phone call, and he used the word respect 243 times during the story.
Yes.
That story. Because he's like, and you showed the respect to Howard by doing this. And, and they went through this whole story, but now John doesn't remember any of it.
He's like, no, we never talked about that at all.
Yeah.
And Tommy's like taken aback by this. He's like, what are you talking about? I could go find it for you right now. It's on the internet.
Yeah.
It's had 700,000 views. Of course everyone knows all about that. And I just want to finish up with the Jay Leno stuff real quick, and then we'll transition.
Of course.
But John's talking about when he did his Tonight Show appearance.
Yeah.
And he was offered a job during the commercial break.
Debbie Vickers, the exec producer, and Joe Medeiros, the head writer, in the commercial break. Because I did really well. And even when I watch it now, it's on stutteringjohn.com. stutteringjohnmelendez.com. Even when I watch it now, I was charming. I was funny. I was humble.
You can't make this shit up, people. You can't make this up. So a couple things here. First off, how sad is that? Even when I watch this now on my website.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Dude, really?
Yeah.
You're going back and watching your first appearance on the Tonight Show by yourself? Or are you showing dates that when they come over?
Yeah.
Maybe both.
I bet he's the type of guy that watches his old wedding video over and over again.
With Monique from Radio Guy.
Nobody would be that lame.
Yeah, that was that was pretty funny. And then he goes, oh my gosh, that was great. I was funny. I was humble.
Yeah, he finally got the comedy of threes.
Jesus, yeah. Finally tells a good joke, and he'll never know.
He'll never know that was a good joke.
Yeah.
He's such a fucking humorless retard. He'll never understand that.
It's amazing.
All right. So then they talk about his very famous audition tapes that Scott the engineer kept. John thought that he deleted them, but he didn't. And then they ended up playing them on the air for Howard, which made for very good fodder. And it was very funny. And Tommy is just out of it. He doesn't know what's going on.
Pamela Anderson.
Pamela Anderson, you mean?
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Nicholas.
Yeah,
How about him?
yes.
He just got hit with 4 counts. Pull up tab 5.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he got hit with 4 counts from the UK for sexual harassment or Spacey.
Yeah, that's Kevin Spacey.
Fuck, I'm thinking
That's
Kevin
Spacey.
Spacey.
No.
Yeah, he got fucked.
Come on, stop drinking so much. You got to
Yeah,
get
Nicolas Cage is fine.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage is good. Fuck that one up.
Who confuses Nicolas Cage and Kevin Spacey? One of them is a good actor.
Tommy is the only one.
Yeah, right. Like those are very different people with very different careers.
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, he says that, which no one was talking about. And then he still has his producer bring up the article and reads it to them. Reads about Kevin Spacey. Like, why are we doing this? What are you talking about?
Yeah, one of the aspects that they really nail from their pretend Joe Rogan thing is bringing up news stories that they know literally nothing about and pretending to have an in-depth discussion of the headline that they just saw.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he even starts reading through it, and John goes, "Oh, look, I get being gay, but do you have to rape a guy?" It's like, yeah, John.
Yeah, how about that?
So woke.
I know, he's so stupid. Like, I think that rape is rape, regardless of whether it's perpetrated on a man or a woman. Yeah,
Wow.
Right. Very good, John.
Yeah, well done.
Way to go.
Well done.
Welcome to the club, buddy. All right, this is the last clip that I want to play, and then we'll transition. We'll come back to this though, because there's much more to get to. This was almost 3 hours long. It was what 240 something when you take out the nonsense that was some other interview.
Corrupted video file that they uploaded.
And seeing all the beers.
Us, as usual.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
So John gets distracted because he looks up at the monitor and sees that, oh, Jesus Christ, there's all these empties bottom in front of me. And this is what I get made fun of for. The dad was going to have a field day. And as he's doing that, he's knocking them over.
Drawing a lot of attention.
I got beer at my house when we go back.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. What kind you got?
I got Bud Light.
Good.
I bet he needs about 24 times 100 of them right now.
I want to see John drink some IPAs. I like to see some.
IPA?
Oh, come on.
I hate
Want
IPA.
IPA?
No.
Why?
I just don't like to taste them.
You know, like them?
You know what IPA stands for?
No.
I knew it. India Pale Ale.
Is that true?
I have no
It is true. What the hell does that mean?
that type of
I don't know.
brew.
I just told you what it meant. I mean, you know.
You fucking prick. I fucking love that clip. First of all, he goes, do you know what it stands for? No. I knew it. You're stupid.
I knew you wouldn't know that. I know that.
So then he goes, because he's a drunk and he spends his fucking life sitting in a bar staring at fucking beer posters. It means India Pale Ale.
Right.
You stupid fucking ignorant fuck.
Yeah.
And then Tommy goes, oh, what does that mean? And he goes,
I don't know.
It doesn't say on the poster.
yeah, it doesn't say on the poster they drunkenly stare at.
It doesn't explain the history of it on the poster. A history that almost everybody knows.
Yeah,
Why
seriously.
India Pale Ale- I don't like the taste of it. And he never explains it. It's too hoppy. John doesn't even understand anything about IPAs, and yet he's bragging that he knows what it stands for.
Wouldn't know the word hop or that hop was involved in beer making. And as you mentioned, bartenders can't fucking wait to tell you the history of the IPA and why it's so important that you fucking have 9 of them.
Exactly. All right. So at least John recognized there was too many empties in front of him. Doesn't do anything about it and just continues to drink more.
I do love that at the halfway point of the interview, he's already drunkenly knocking the beer bottles down. I mean, well, there's nowhere to go but up from there.
That's just an insane amount. All right. Yeah. All right. We've hit on that already.
Yeah.
Who are these podcasts?